I'll just be honest, man. Listen, if Dak Prescott has a postseason like he's always had, going to that next year, right? Dak, find a realtor. Because Joe Milton got talent, he can play. And I'll say this, y'all laugh and all that. I've seen other quarterbacks get paid a lot of money and they move on from it.
Right? We've seen it happen.
Okay, so
We've seen it happen. Hey, that's breaking news for the Dallas Cowboys. Hey, when we were...
I'll just be honest, man. Listen, Dak Prescott has a postseason like he's always had. Want that next year, right? Dak, find a realtor. Because Joe Milton got talent, he can play. And I'll say this, y'all laugh and all that. I've seen other quarterbacks get paid a lot of money and they move on from it. Right? We've seen it happen. Okay.
Okay, good morning, good people and Eagle fans. Mark Holmes here with my buddy Cowboy Joe Boo. What's up, Joe Boo? As well as Bucky Beaver. And as always, I want to say thank you all for watching, commenting, subscribing, and being part of the Joe Boo Sports Report. Without you guys, as well as you ladies, you know that this literally does not work. Oh my goodness. Last night was abysmal. Let's be clear here. That was about as ugly of a game as you could get. And before I get to the game, here's where it's crazy. I don't know if that opening clip of Shady McCoy and all that will be seen because it may be copywritten and I may have to cut it out, but I'll find out after I upload it. But Shady McCoy and most of these shows have nothing in reality. And they just literally don't know. Let me show something else that just literally blows my mind here. Watch this.
How you doing? Feeling good, man. Excited. Flew here for this. I'm up. I didn't know I was doing this this early. I'm up, though. Jeez.
Well, it's a blast for us to have you here. Thank you so much for joining us. All right, so the jersey. Let's get into it because obviously this ties to one Shador Sanders who balled out in his first preseason game.
It ties to the Shador Sanders. Are you kidding me?
Oh, shit!
Are you serious? Are you serious? You don't know, first of all, that is a Detroit Lions jersey. That's a Detroit Lions. How do you have Shador? That's not Colorado's colors. That's not the Cleveland Browns colors. That, my friends, is Barry Sanders. Although, I will say, there could be some confusion because also that number 20 is retired for the Detroit Lions because it was Billy Sims, incredible running back as well, and Lombardi, along with Barry Sanders. The Detroit Lions, the number 20 is sacred. 3 of the greatest players in their history wore the number 20. How can you literally be on an ESPN sports show and literally think that has something to do with Shador Sanders? And on top of this, here's where things get to be even crazier because we've all seen the tweet that Micah Parsons wants to go to Denver because they've already got a great defense in place and stuff, and he wants to add to that, okay? Some of these shows are actually using these clips that are clearly false. There's no credibility anymore with these talking heads in these shows. Shady McCoy, the same guy who went to training camp, went to Cowboys training camp, didn't stay for practice, said Tony Pollard looked great, and Tony Pollard missed that day of camp. So, yeah.
Shit!
This world now with all of the AI, all the fake AI, and all of the BS, and basically everybody trying to fight to go ahead and get relevance and to get views, we're getting so much BS and we're getting people that just don't know what they're talking about. And this isn't the first time ESPN has gotten something like this. We got opening day at Dallas Cowboys training camp. Opening day, okay? Opening press conference. ESPN is leading with practice clips a touchdown pass in full pads from practice to Brandon Cooks and said that it was George Pickens. First of all, how do you not know that the first week is helmets and shorts? Second of all, how do you not know that the clip is not George Pickens? So just a little tad bit. And I guess I'm just trying to delay the inevitable because last night was just plain ugly. And you sit here, even though Cooper Rush did throw the pick six and did have another tipped off interception, you sit here and you wonder, did the Dallas Cowboys make a mistake by giving up a 5th-round draft pick to get Joe Milton to be the backup quarterback? What we've seen so far and what we've seen in practice, and this is a bigger question here that you have to ask, is the highlights that we've seen in practice, are they because they're against our Dallas Cowboys and our Dallas Cowboys defense is not that good? I don't want to be doom and gloom, because what happens, just like Swagoo the other day, is, Cowboy fans don't want to be told the truth. You don't want to be told the truth. You want to believe that we're going to the Super Bowl, everything is great, we're going to win 17 games, and then we're going to be home field advantage, we're going to cruise to the playoffs, and we're going to win our 6th Super Bowl. It could happen. It could happen. But here, let's face reality. And I know I'm the first one to be Mr. Positivity and say, it's just preseason, okay? It's preseason. These are not your starters. But see, the problem with the Cowboys is typically is a depth issue. We don't have enough depth. I will take Tyler Smith against anybody in the NFL. I'll take my quarterback against anybody in the NFL. But we have deficits in here. You have to worry about the running game. Miles Sanders looked like Zeke 2.0. Dak Prescott gets hurt where he has an injury history. Joe Milton's not the answer. Joe Milton is so far away from being an NFL quarterback that you wasted a 5th-round pick. Your interior defensive line, I don't want to blame Mozzie solely on this, because what the Cowboys should have done with Mozzie is get a really good veteran defensive lineman, defensive tackle, to mentor him and teach him. And they've been lose weight, gain weight, 1 technique, 3 technique, pass rusher. They have gone away from everything that he did good, and they have messed up his psyche. And see, here's the thing with being a defensive tackle, and a lot of you don't know because you're just, he just sucks. In football, if there is a question in what you do, we're talking about microseconds mean the difference between winning and losing. And if you don't know where you're supposed to be or what you're supposed to do, and you're learning something, an offensive lineman can get up underneath your pads and launch you down the field. And to me, that's what it looks like with Mozzie more than anything else, is he looks completely lost. Not ability-wise, it's lost. And I blame that partially on the coaches. You have to put a player in a position to be successful. Now, I'm worried about our running game. Blue still has yet to be able to be healthy enough to play. I'm worried about interior defensive linemen, and I'm worried about my secondary. And thus far, and I'm worried about Micah Parsons being signed. We have a lot of deficits. Now, if Dak Prescott stays healthy and George Pickens and CeeDee Lamb stay healthy and stay happy, yeah, we're going to have to just throw our way to victories. We're going to need to score a lot of points, and we're going to need to score them quickly. We're going to need to protect our defense, and that is by having a good offense. I don't know what the Cowboys' plans are. I don't think the Cowboys are planning on signing anybody of any significance at this point, because Jerry Jones feels, I brought in George Pickens. And see, this is what they do. They do enough stuff to give you hope. You get George Pickens early, and you sign Osa and Digazua, and you say, "Oh man, the Cowboys, man, you know they're caring about winning." George Pickens is just a new shiny object to get us to chase, and that's where they figure their work is done. They're lazy. They're dumb and dumber. They just are. You couldn't stop at just George Pickens. We have holes that are glaring weaknesses. If you can't stop the run and you can't run the football, it will be a long season when it comes to playoffs. I did not hear last night because I went to bed, our coach after the game. But I want to listen to him this morning and see what he actually had to say. So let's watch the press conference from last night.
Good. Calvin Watkins, Dallas Morning News.
Not looking quite as happy.
How concerned are you about Joe Milton right now?
I wouldn't say I'm concerned. I mean, again, he, we didn't get into rhythm offensively. It's, what we did in the first half against the Rams, I think came out with a little bit of a different mindset in terms of trying to run the ball. They got him, they fooled him a little bit on the safety on the third down there. We're trying to get the ball out of his hand fast, and they showed down one side, Calvin, and brought the blitz from the other side, and it just spooked him, and he's got to try to throw that ball away. His feet were kind of talking to him, but it wasn't just Joe. I mean, we got to be able to run the ball better, got to take care of the football. He throws the ball with a lot of tempo. I thought Hunter had a ball. He could have made a catch on the over. And again, you hit a couple of those things and it gets you going. Sometimes, you need somebody to help you make a play. And I don't think we did a great job of that. I just told the guys, I said, hey, the bottom line is this, we're not going to say that that's just a preseason game. We're not just going to say, oh, we'll be fine. We're going to look at it because the fact that, we really lost both halves, that is something that we have to get corrected. There's too many good football players, too many good coaches for us to perform the way that we did tonight. So we'll look at the film. We'll find out the things that we did well. There'll certainly be a ton of corrections that we have to make, and we'll dive in first thing in the morning.
Before we broke camp, you said, I don't have a backup. After seeing Joe for 2 weeks, and you got one left, do you still feel that way?
Yeah, again, I feel like I don't have to decide anything today. We going to keep letting these guys practice. I just told the guys get ready because the couple practices this week are going to be really physical, and we have to. But it's like all these position battles. We don't have to decide anything now. I think like with the receivers, we were trying to get a good look at a couple of those guys that were fighting for those spots, and I thought a couple guys stepped up and did a nice job. I thought Florino had a couple nice catches. Mingo made a great catch down the boundary, and then I felt like we kind of shot ourselves in the foot with penalties when we would get some momentum, and so we got to be cleaner.
Clarence Hill, DLS Cowboys. Comes you got off to a slow start again, and that's something you're not doing as well. It's not just not having plays, but you're not getting first down, which contributes to that. And why are you not concerned with the backup quarterback, Joe Milton's play, whatever, when opposite side of the field you got a guy, Cooper Rush, who's won games here, and it shows you what you want in a backup quarterback. Do you know these guys can win games and something had to happen to Dak Prescott?
Yeah, I think we have to believe that. I think we do believe that. I think, again, when you put a game plan together for these guys and, whether you're playing with Joe or you're playing with Will, you're going to have a plan of how you want to play. Hey, look, Cooper Rush has played in this league for a long time. What he did tonight, it didn't surprise anybody in the first half. I mean, I've seen him do that for the last 3 years. And so Joe Milton's in year 2, and so, again, I'm not panicked. Again, it's not just them. It's us as coaches. It's the other players. It's all that. But the biggest thing for me is, again, we just, we have to balance up the time of possession. We had the defense out there for over 40 minutes. That's too long. Well, why is that? Well, we weren't very good on third down, and we got to be better on third down. And they had a couple of wrinkles in the blitz game that we need to handle a little bit better. But for the most part, it's just really us executing, or tonight not executing.
When you said that he should have thrown the ball, you were talking about the interception, or you were talking about the sack safety?
Ask it again.
When you said he should have thrown it away?
Yeah, so we were backed up. We had the negative play, so we called a quick answer. They showed down, and his feet were he was holding on the slant. We were trying to throw a little flat slant combination, and they had 2 free runners, so that was on him. Should have thrown away, yeah, and that's and again, like every opportunity you get when he comes over, you're teaching, you're coaching, and you're saying, hey, they showed down, they brought the pressure over here, and you're not going to yell and you're not going to scream, you're going to just teach. And the thing I love about Joe is when you talk to him, he's like, you're right, they got us with a cover 0, late in the game, and he was trying to do right and made a call, and there's a couple other things he probably could have done a little different.
Brian Todd Archer with ESPN. You said you want to be a physical team on both sides of the ball. Where do you think you guys, I know your regulars haven't played, but through 2 weeks, how would you assess what you've seen up front from your offensive and defensive line?
Yeah, I just addressed that with the guys. We're going to have some physical practices this week, Todd. We need to play more physical. I know we're more physical than that. Again, how do you do that? Well, you do that by having padded practices, and you do that by having your run drills and things like that. And we're not going to change who we are. We're not going to sit there and say, okay, hey, well, we're not a physical team. I'm not ready to say that right now. I don't think that's the answer. I think we're going to be a physical team, and I think we'll show that. But we have to practice that way. We have to have those in our practices, and then bring it into the games.
Second quarter, 4th and 1. You have B.B. and Booker in there, guys who will be starters for you. Yet you ran to the left, behind your, Nate Thomas, who makes.
Yeah, that ball's supposed to cut back. It's an inside zone run play that's actually supposed to cut back behind the B block of Book and those guys. We got a little bit of penetration on the front side there. They were zeroed out. They were cover 0. But the ball's supposed to cut back behind those guys. It's an inside zone play that should wrap back.
I know you probably have to look at some of the tape, but Booker's play overall.
Yeah, I thought, again, I didn't notice him as hard with some of the interior linemen. You guys probably saw it better than I did. But I will say I felt like some of the young guys played really well. I thought Shamar James played really, really well. I noticed him. I think, like you said, Book, played good. I thought Damone, who's really not a young player, he seemed like he was flying all over the place. So there's always positives that come from this. And that's what I told the guys. I said, look, it's not good when you lose both halves. Really you should win at least a half in these preseason games. And disappointed that we didn't. But we're going to get back to work and look for solutions.
John Machado with The Athletic. You had several veteran players playing this game that didn't play in the first one. How do you just kind of generally go about figuring out why play, let's say, like Kyrie Elam and Jack Sanborn and not like Kenneth Murray? Yeah,
if they're younger players, you want to get them anywhere from 10 to 15 snaps is what you're thinking. Kyrie's new, Sanborn's, a younger player, where K9's played, a lot of football. So it's usually based off experience. And then for some of the guys, it's just, we want to get them out there and let them play a few snaps. Again, we let all of our guys go through pregame warmups. That was a big part of it for us. We wanted to get Dak and CD and all those guys, to go through the pregame warmups. We think that that's important. So the first time that they do it is not, in a regular season game, but it's a formula based on how much football they've played.
And then, I don't know, the TV cameras kind of caught you where, probably reading too much in this, but it kind of looked like you were annoyed by the way that they're measuring with the sticks now, virtually or whatever. Does that have any impact on you, or do you think it will as you're calling the game and the time it takes?
Well, the technology is definitely different. It's new. It's on a watch now, which is unique. It sounds like it's, those type of issues are happening kind of around the league right now, but it's preseason. Just like the league office isn't going to panic that their system's not working. It's the preseason, just like we're not going to panic, and we're not pushing the panic button. We're pushing the work button, and that's what we're going to do. And we'll get in tomorrow and watch the film, make the corrections. We'll see some guys that probably separated themselves from a evaluation process, which is great for them. And we'll start to, build the week's plan.
Nick Harris, Fort Worth Star-Telegram. How much did your offensive reps have to change given the time of possession difference in the first half?
Well, again, the thing that I thought we would run the ball better, Nick. I really did. I thought we could run the ball a little bit better, give them some credit. They did a nice job. But really, you try not to press. I thought the defense did a really good job keeping the game to whatever it was. I think, Booth's interception was awesome. It was so great to see him do that. It was a one-score game, I think. late in the second quarter. So there really wasn't much panic. But, we got a couple turnovers on defense, and then we turned it over on offense. We get the one sudden change, which we talked about this, all week in terms of can you gather that momentum. The defense gets the fumble, I think, right? And the very first play, we throw an interception. So those are things you can't do. I think we had the ball around midfield, and Joe knew it right when he came off. I think you guys probably saw it. He took immediate accountability, went over and was talking to the receivers about it, and that's what I love about the guy.
I guess offensively specifically, is it tougher to really evaluate whenever there's only so many given reps? Booker was playing into the third quarter. That's probably not what y'all anticipated, right?
Yeah, no. But again, there's a number count we were trying to get, and when you don't get as many opportunities, you're going to have to, get the numbers that you want. I think we had him slated for like 20 to 25 plays. I'm not sure exactly what his numbers were, but again, it's a chance for us to get him some live reps that he needs.
Jonathan Mingo?
No. Again, we got a number of guys banged up, and we'll get some testing on those guys tomorrow. But a number of guys got banged up. We had to throw a lot of moving parts at corner. We had to put Booth back in the game, some things like that. So we got dinged up pretty good out there.
Tommy Yarsh, DallasCowboys.com. You've talked about getting a quarterback settled into a game when you start with a safety, and then you mentioned the interception after getting one defensively. What goes into resettling a quarterback into the game when you have stuff like that happen? How do you kind of get him back into those situations?
Well, again, number one, you always continue to have trust in him. I think you saw the third down and long play. We took the shot. He hit the Mingo. And then, unfortunately, we hit a big play, and then we try to get the ball on the perimeter. We shoot ourselves in the foot. But really, for a young quarterback, it's about stacking plays, Tommy. You know what I'm saying? It's about, okay, get a streak of completions going. Okay, get a completion. Okay, I get 2 completions, then get 3. Then, okay, I missed one. Okay, then start a new streak. Okay, and I think what you find when you do that is they kind of work themselves into a good rhythm, and they feel with a lot more confidence when they're able to do that. So we're going to continue to trust Joe, and again, made some great throws, and again, the interception is the first thing that jumps out at me. I wish he'd have that one back.
Gilman Henderson, Gilmer Mirror. Coach, do you feel like now, you've mentioned some of these guys separated themselves a little bit tonight, do you feel like where you need to be looking to that final preseason game to make the cuts on Friday night's game?
I want to watch the film. I think, that's only fair to these players to say, let's watch the film and see kind of, where we are. But, yes, do I believe that that's the case? I do think a few guys took major steps today. What I don't get a chance to see a lot of is the special teams, and that's very critical when you talk about constructing your roster and things like that. So I want to definitely see the film. But, again, I think there were some guys that I thought, did a really nice job tonight. And once we see the film, we'll have a better idea.
All righty, thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Wow. Okay.
We will see. We got Johnny Mack checking in right now. I see him live.
Let's be clear. It is preseason. It's not time to hit the panic button. Although Jonathan Mingo looks like he's got a PCL injury, so he may be dropped down for a bit, in which case we're going to have it may open up a spot for another wide receiver because Mingo would probably go on to the IR, which will give the Cowboys another spot. So definitely opening up another potential position. The Cowboys got nicked up last night, and they just did not look like they were really in sync. We've got a few days here before we play our final preseason game on Thursday night to try and correct some of the stuff and hopefully get better. Again, we're not playing our starters. These are our backups. But the worry for me is these guys are going to play valuable minutes. And, it's not good. It's not good. All right, good people, just remember.
So we've seen it happen. Hey, that's breaking news for the Dallas Cowboys. Hey, when we were...
I'll just be honest, man. Listen, if Dak Prescott has a postseason like he's always had, going to that next year, right? Dak, find a realtor. Because Joe Milton got talent, he can play. And I'll say this, y'all laugh and all that. I've seen other quarterbacks get paid a lot of money and they move on from it. Right?
We've seen it happen.
Okay. So